Hello, everybody, and welcome yet again to the live stream with the ICF. Today, I'm especially excited to be joined by my colleague and friend, Dr. Dumisani Magadlela. Dumi, as most people call him, is an executive coach, coach trainer, leadership skill development facilitator. He's got quite a long resume of being a founding board member for the Africa Board of Coaching, Consulting and Coaching Psychology. He is also an 2016 African Coach of the Year. He co-founded and chaired the Ubuntu Coaching Foundation at the Coaching Center to help poor communities access affordable coaching. Dumi serves on multiple coach development faculties. He's been a visiting scholar, visiting professor in many universities. And also this year, Dumi is a chair of the Global Enterprise at the ICF. Dumi, welcome to Livestream.
Thank you, Magda. It's great to be here and to be talking with you. Thank you very much.
So let's start with my curiosity. Sorry there. Your PhD, what is it all about? Tell me, Dr. Dumisani, what is it all about?
Thank you, Magda. I actually always wanted to get to the top of any career I choose. So I started social sciences. I was always fascinated by human behavior. So I did behavioral science, junior degree, and a master's in sociology and social anthropology, and then did a PhD in the same field, mainly looking at human behavior when, say, there's scarcity. And that's what I looked at. And it was really a fascinating journey for me to get to that, to understand how do people behave under different contexts or different circumstances. So,
Well, certainly quite a segue to becoming a coach, right?
Yeah. And it's actually set me up very much to becoming a coach, Masa. It's really within what I love. I enjoy meeting people, watching, observing, and supporting people becoming the best versions of themselves. So that's exactly it.
Just about the definition of coaching by ICF. Nice.
Yeah.
So, Dumi, you reside in Africa, in South Africa. Your work is primarily in Africa. So, what would you share with all of us about the state of coaching in Africa? Who hires coaches? What's being said about coaching from the ICF perspective? We know that we're growing quite significantly in the continent, but taking it from somebody who's right there, what would you share?
Yeah, thank you. I missed a bit of that question because there's a little bit of a glitch and delay on my side. So technically, so we're dealing with that as we go. So it's for our viewers to note that. Thank you. So you're asking about coaching on the African continent, picking up. Yeah. What we're noticing is large numbers of professionals and coaches, people being trained to become coaches, and a sprouting of quite a number of coaching bodies and professional associations, and coming together to say, let's grow this because this is what we need. Africa is the youngest continent on the planet, and we have the fastest growth of populations globally. And by the looks of it, what different reports from the UN and other agencies are saying is that we will have about possibly by 2040, 2050, we'll be having the largest working age population in the world. And these are young people that will need support, thinking partners, and support systems that help them become the best versions of themselves. If we have the largest working age population on planet Earth, we would like to be there as coaches of the coaching profession, supporting them to be the best versions of themselves, to take this fragile planet to where it needs to go. Very, very important for us in that. So what we're seeing is many people becoming coaches, interested in coaching. The numbers, what we've seen through some of our reports within the ICF ecosystem, is that more and more people are interested in becoming coaches, getting training to become coaches, and many organizations across the continent are seeking coaching services. So this bodes well for coaching in general.
Right. Because, sometimes we see that the desire for people to become coaches is not necessarily matched with the desire of clients to
Yeah.
hire coaches. So that's great to hear what you're saying. And I know that you've worked with some of the economic development organizations in
Yes.
Africa. What's their interest in actually bringing coaching to their offerings?
What I've noticed with many organizations, I work with the currently I work for the Development Bank of Southern Africa, which is the
Right.
financing institution. I've been with the organization for over 17 years, and it's one of the leading development financiers on the African continent.
Mm.
And I mean, won so many awards and doing great things, building infrastructure for
Mm.
development across the continent. And DBSA is wholly owned by the South African government. And what we see, DBSA uses coaches, and part of the program I was working for, and I'm working in right now, is called the Pan-African Capacity Building Program. And what we do, we design and deliver coaching and coach training programs and leadership programs among all African DFIs through an association called the Association of African Development Financing Institutions. And this is covering the rest of the continent. And what we're seeing with that is that there's a demand in government-sponsored private sector and non-profit entities for coaching services. But there are differences though when you look at around in the coaching ecosystem globally. People are still not fully aware what coaching can provide. So there's still some work to do to explain to people the difference between coaching and mentoring, and what coaching can offer and what coaching is not. So that part is frontier for coaching. There's a lot of demand for coaching, which requires that we do a lot of work to support people to understand what coaching is and is not. Mm-hmm. And so it's very, very important. There are new things that are there, and we realize that in some places there are forms of coaching that have been there for centuries that are not recognized as coaching, that actually are very much coaching in approach. Like the whole concept and principle of Ubuntu is very much based on coaching approach. It's a coaching framework, a coaching way of being, actually. That's what it's about.
Yeah. But also, this is quite amazing that it seems to be more of a systemic approach, right, to structural changes in the African continent. So it's not just on a project by project basis, but more of that coalition, as you know this. So that could very well be a almost like a roadmap for some other areas of the world that could certainly utilize and benefit from coaching as well. So that's quite fascinating.
You mean the Ubuntu part?
Well, Ubuntu, here you go. So I know Dumi for quite a long time, and I'm forever grateful to Dumi for bringing the concept of Ubuntu in a, well, I'll let you speak to it, but in a way that forever will stay with the rest of you, I'm sure. So, Dumi, you mentioned Ubuntu just in your previous comment, and you started the Ubuntu Foundation. So, please do share us.
Thank you.
With us the Ubuntu.
Thank you. Yeah. We started with Dr. Petty Pampalis, the founder and head of the coaching center, is the executive director for the coaching center. This is one of the premium coach development programs on the continent, based on integral coaching and the whole U process, Otto Scharmer's U process. A big part of that is we wanted to promote access to coaching in communities that would otherwise not be able to afford coaching, and maybe not even understand or know what it is. And very, very important that we did this. And this NPO is growing, or has been growing, and we really are interested in promoting it. There's younger people now taking it up who have more energy. And it's part of the school. So some of our students come in the Ubuntu Coaching Foundation for them to practice their craft and practice their way of being, the science and art and way of being a coach through that. And that seems to be something that I think we can grow that and really do that across, around the world. But what it's based on, the principle and philosophy of Ubuntu, Magda, is these are Mandela's leadership principles of philosophy, which means I am because we are. But Ubuntu is more than that. Ubuntu is really that I can't be fully me if you cannot be fully you, or if what I do somehow prohibits or constrains you from becoming who you can fully and really be, living up to your full potential. So it's very, very important to understand that Ubuntu is not a soft, huggy thing. It's more really a collective accountability principle, which says we need to hold each other to a greater value system together. So that's what Ubuntu is about. It's not a fluffy, soft center kind of thing. It's very hard to do that, because it means that you can't do anything without considering what's the greater good from what I'm doing. Very, very important. I truly believe every coach needs to have at least 2, 3, 4, 5% of their time towards pro bono coaching in communities and people that can't really afford coaching, or more if you can afford it. Yeah. That's how coaching is there to transform societies. A world where coaching is integral to transforming societies. That's our value, our vision. So we've got to live up to that.
Yeah. Thank you. Every time I hear you speak about Ubuntu, it's like I have goosebumps. And just a very interesting little tidbit for you guys listening and watching is that Dr. Dumi also is a writer of children's books. And I actually...
Can you hear Magda?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Dumi?
Lost you there for a moment. Yeah, you're back now. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. Very good. Sorry, guys, technical problems. But I was just saying, Dumi, that you also in your long resume you have a line about being an author of children's book.
Yeah.
I did receive a copy of Dumi's book before. I lended it to my niece because it is for children. So, Dumi, tell us about the book. I love that book.
Yeah, thank you, Magda. It's a very a beautiful part of what my wife and I do, because we're both teachers. We met when we were teaching at a university in Cape Town, many moons ago, and so we both lecturers, teachers, and I work with people with development. So we were living in Japan in 2016. I was a visiting professor in a Japanese university in fact, talking and teaching about Ubuntu in Japan, in a Japanese university. Beautiful memories there. And with the Japanese, the bowing, it's a beautiful way of acknowledging everyone as you see them. They are Ubuntu. You see that, and it's embedded in that. So we're telling our kids stories about any different stories. So one time, a series, night after night, would tell them stories about food that talks to each other and talks to children. So we started talking about beetroot and egg. So the story is about coexistence, how we live together. So that and then we ended up writing a book about it when we came back to South Africa. And the book is available on Amazon, in fact, and we're doing a second edition now where beet and egg now talk to children and then go to school. And it's about teaching children values and principles of Ubuntu at an early age. It's the Ubuntu friendship of beet and egg, a story of coexistence. And they talk to each other, and beet is the naughty one and says, onion, you smell, cabbage, you smell, and human body odor, children in the playground, bullying, that kind of thing. So introducing coaching, Magda, at an early age. I truly believe that coaching is a life skill that we need to introduce in early childhood development. Every educator, every teacher need to have coaching skills early on, and that we build those values into our education system early on will address a lot of challenges that we face in how people interact and relate across whatever differences perceived or real out there.
What we see in a coaching field is that more and more universities, schools of higher education do engage coaching either as a support for their students or even as an offering, right, for their students to become trained in coaching. We also start seeing some of a pickup of coaching in even younger ages,
Mm,
much to what you were just saying, either in
mm,
high school level or even earlier. First for the teachers, then for the kids, and then for the parents, because the parents are like, what have you done with my child? And I want the
yeah,
same. So
yeah.
do you think, because I have to admit that when ICF started seeing a significant growth in membership in Africa, I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was expecting that it would take a little longer time, simply because, ignorant me, but I thought that the communities within Africa were more connected, were more affording each other that very strong social network
Mhm.
that coaching to some extent replaces these days. So, so what's your philosophy about the growth of coaching in Africa? Where did it come from? And I hope it's there to stay, right?
Yeah. Uh, Maybe this is going to surprise you and many other people that our viewers and listeners to this conversation. I believe that, and I've seen it before I even met the word coaching, that coaching has been around in different communities, in different places, way before the inner game of tennis in the
Mm.
70s, which kicked it up. That's the so-called modern origins of coaching. For me, we need to just build on that, knowing that in different communities, coaching has always been there. My own grandfather, grandmother, and even my parents, my own mother, used coaching skills in many ways. They
Mm.
were not called that, but they're ways that help you uh, uh, really unlock the strength, the qualities and values that sit within you. And it's very, very important for us to understand that coaching shows up in different ways in different parts of the world.
Mm.
And for example, the ICF is the premium body of coaching globally. For me, the way we've done the core competencies and even the value, the mission, and the values, the vision and the mission and the values of coaching, the way the ICF has framed it, is really, really cutting edge and leading in that. And it builds on that. It enables others that have maybe different framing of coaching to see that and to utilize that, to step into that. So on the African continent, what I've seen, and I had the privilege of traveling across the continent, Magda, with my work, is that different people have a different understandings, if I can use that, of what coaching is and can do. What I've seen in practice, and I've asked many clients that I work with in team coaching, one-to-one, one-on-one coaching, or human resource, human capital
Mhm.
people, is that they know that the way coaching is it works. It's great. There is greater need to tap into the wisdom of the people in the room or the client that is in front of you in
Mm.
terms of their understanding of how best they can be supported to be the best versions of themselves, taking into account where they come from and who they are without
Mm.
uh, without undermining or without reducing what they know, the wisdom of where they come from in that. This is why for me, I work with Ubuntu because many people can relate to what that is.
Mhm.
And there are different versions, different aspects of it on that, Magda, that show that there is wisdom in every community. You will find wisdom. There are people there. That's why there's an African saying that if the wise elders of the village do not teach the children, the village idiots will certainly do. So it's understanding that there is wisdom in every community to raise children and raise communities. Right? The greater good, the collective, needs to be preeminent and to be the lead, and not individuals maybe that are flashy in material things that they have, or politicians that are loud. It's about understanding that we need to go back home to humaneness, the values, our higher values of who we are, which the village taking care of raising the child, the community taking care of the, say, a widow or children that have lost their parents, and that rallying around and taking care of them without asking for payment or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We might have lost Dumi. And again, apologies.
Understanding that our technical glitch again, the gremlins are still here, but let's ignore them. Let's keep
We're
going.
good. We're good. We're good. We're good.
Okay.
We're good. We keep going. Well, that was beautiful, Dumi, because just a couple of weeks ago, I was in Dubai, and I had a great opportunity to visit the Museum of the Future. It's
Yeah.
it's a architectural marvel for sure.
Wow.
And the part of an exhibit that really stayed with me was the home of the future. So it was a design about the place, that people will stay, and of
Yeah.
course it was constructed out of very durable but also sustainably sourced materials, recyclable, renewable, all this
Wow.
good stuff, and that was beautiful. But what was the most impactful to me was where the little story around it pointed to the fact that the technology to
Mm-hmm.
or technologies to build that home of the future already exist. What's preventing us from doing it is a
Mm-hmm.
mindset, is not
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
about collectivism. It's not thinking about what does it mean for the future
Yeah.
generations. You
Yeah.
know, you mentioned Mr. Galloway. I will mention Peter Hawkins, who often says, think when you do something, think about what you would say to your grandchild if they ask you so many
Yeah.
years later, say, what have you done to
Yeah.
prevent or to support, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that is a great story about that collective responsibility and accountability, right?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, if I can jump in there, Magda, for me, I love that example of the Museum of the Future, because the wisdom from that comes from all over the world. It's not just from one place.
Absolutely.
And that's the recognition that we are stronger and better together than individually. I think it challenges all of us, because real coaching, and this is why team coaching is exploding around the world, it recognizes that there is value, there is greatness in every person, without necessarily packaging it into you're only good or important if you look like this or if you talk
Mm,
like this. It's about understanding that there is greatness in everyone. And as coaches, we believe that. And for
absolutely.
me, it's not about the thinking. The thinking is one part, but human intelligence, I truly believe that is the whole body is a sensory organ. You feel things. You were saying earlier, you feeling goosebumps. What is that? That's intelligence. And we need to tap into that intelligence, that wisdom that is there in us, and not think, because we're limiting ourselves when you only think about the head. That's cognitive center of
Yeah.
intelligence. That's great. It's useful. It's understanding that we've got to feel. And we do that when there are natural disasters. We do that. Now, there are
Mm,
wars and the natural fires and floods and earthquakes and that. And human beings respond to that. You feel compassion and empathy because you're normal. You are humane. It's when we suppress that we lose our humaneness. And the work that I do as a coach, coming from my part of the world and working around the world, is trying to spread that message that we can be more humane.
mm.
And one of my good friends, Dr. Patty Pambalis, I mentioned her earlier, the coaching center, she has this statement that we need to do human better.
Oh, that's great. Do human
Beautiful.
better.
We need to do human better. And man, what expression I love, Magda, is always saying that we need to rehumanize shared spaces. Many people are
Mm,
moving into urban centers, and they come from all over the world, all over different parts, and they converge into different urban centers. And we need to find ways to relate to each other. And Ubuntu values and principles and doing human better and understanding that we need to rehumanize these shared spaces means that we need to find common ground, and humaneness or humanity, being humane, is that common ground. This is why I always say my currency is connection. We need to connect genuinely with each other and see each other. In our greeting in isiZulu, in my language, we say sawubona, which means I see you, but I see more than you, Magda. I see who you are. I see where you come from. I see your family, your cats and dogs, and what you represent. And I acknowledge that you are here and you exist and we're connected. And my last word on this one is there's mindset and then there's heart set. And then there's being. We need to tap into all of them to be fully human.
I think, Dumi, that you just started the movement, #TheHumanBetter. So thank you for that. We're coming to the end of our time, but we did have a question coming from the audience, which says, which specific sectors in Africa are showing the fastest growth in leadership coaching? Finance, manufacturing, etc. Do you have a sense of that at all?
Yes, I do, because I've seen that, and I've seen requests for that. Thank you for that question. It's definitely what I've seen. The financing sector is leading in that. The more people, because they are linked to the global financial systems where different banks, different institutions use coaching. And my own organization that I currently work for has a program, has coaches for many years. And we see that different other institutions using coaching, but that's just one. The multilateral international NPO sector also uses a lot of coaching.
Yeah, I wonder that.
I found myself doing that. So thank you, Matthew, for that question. Really great.
Dumi, you mentioned earlier that you were a visiting professor in Japan, and I happened to see a very entertaining picture of you. And it was Dumi wearing the full samurai.
You're not going to show that, are you?
I don't have it handy.
Okay.
But the part of the reason why I loved this picture, first of all, it's just beautiful costume. But it was also to me what I saw was two different cultures being very comfortable in that picture. So you said it was heavy, huh?
Yeah, it was heavy. It's made of very heavy materials and metals. So yeah, as a samurai, what they told us, the samurais that were there that interacted with, said you've got to even you're carrying a sword and carrying it like that, you've got to cover yourself and to protect yourself from the other samurais. So it's very important. The culture, what I learned from that, and I jump in there, Magda, maybe you had a question in there, but what I saw and heard and felt and experienced is that we are really one. And with the Japanese, the bowing to recognize that you're there, as one of the most striking I've ever seen. Everyone acknowledges everyone.
That's lovely.
We are one. We are together.
Do human better. There you go. Dumi, we have 1 minute left. What kind of message would you like to leave our viewers with today?
One message I would like to leave us all, you, Magda, and our listeners, our viewers, everyone on listening to this, is that being human is a privilege, and it shows up more when we connect with others genuinely, and when we see others as they are and not the story that we have about them. We're better able to connect with them as they are, and co-create spaces for people to show up with their greatness. We lose when we constrain people or go with the story that we've inherited about others. We are far more amazing, each one of us, than we give ourselves permission to engage with.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Dumisani Magadlela. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.